This episode is brought to you by Support the Mountains Herbal Parasite Cleanse. This formula targets the small and large intestinal tracts and larvae, the most broad-spectrum formula available today. 100% organic, formulated by Dr. Mikio Sankey, author of the Esoteric Acupuncture series. For 10% off your first bottle, visit shopyogahub.com and use the coupon code CLEANSE at checkout. Hello and welcome to YHTV's Flowing into Awareness with visionary and master intuitive Anatara. I'm Christina Suzuma, your host for this show. This is episode 40, Surfing with Words. Learn the flow of language, or the language of flow. And with us today, of course, is our wonderful, beautiful Anatara.
Hi, Christina.
Hi, Anatara. Let's play with our words today.
Let's do that. And I like the way you changed it to the flow of language. I thought, oh, that's what I should have written.
Language of flow, flow of language.
Over the language. It's all the same thing. And boy, it just, the flow. I've been listening more carefully than usual lately to what people say and how that is completely, it's like a replication of what their lives are like, or perhaps their lives are the replication of the language that they use. And I think that it goes both ways. It's a cycle, it's a circle, and I attempt to be very aware of the words that I use, and I am very conscious of the words that I use with clients, so as not to turn off or negate even something negative that they say to me, and at the same time to move it into a more flowing way of expression, a more flowing way of talking about what one wants. You know, we with the way we speak, we can turn ourselves off. We can shut down the people around us. We can shut down the events around us because of the heaviness or the lack of vibrancy in the words we use about ourselves and in the way we think about things around us. So I was on the west coast of Vancouver Island last weekend, and I was watching the surfers, and you must see a lot of them in Southern California as well. And I watched how they must be very spontaneous with the way the ocean presents itself to them. And their bodies need to be flexible and flowing and literally in the flow of what's coming, so that the waves can be caught, so that the waves can be ridden, so that one can be stable on the surface of the water as the waves move underneath. So in that stability that I'm talking about, it's really stability because one is moving and one is flowing. So if we start with body language and we start with the way we hold ourselves, the way we present ourselves, the way we choose to use our arms, our hands, our faces, our legs, that understanding of flow is reflective of the dialogue that we have inside our heads speaking about ourselves, and is therefore representative of and expressive of the language we use to describe ourselves, the language we use to describe the events in our lives. So, surfing with words. How can we surf instead of cutting ourselves off and putting ourselves in a place of limits, of dragging, and of being shut down? I was thinking about people that have a story. We all have stories about ourselves. So thinking about the stories that are about hardship, or the stories that are about something uncomfortable. And every time we repeat one of those stories, such as, oh, I'm just having a terrible day. Look at what happens to me when I say that. I become, I fall down. I become heavy. The part of me that could be up and vibrant and aware becomes heavy. It's dragged out. I'm not surfing with myself. I'm not surfing with my words, and I'm not surfing with my thoughts. The words are the final expression of what the body is doing and what the thoughts are doing. So, learning about the language of flow, learning to flow with language, even when we're feeling debilitated or heavy or angry or sad, we can choose words that might say, in this moment there is a sadness here. Instead of saying, "Oh, I feel so sad." By noticing the sadness, noticing sadness with our words, it becomes an observation rather than an absolute. So, if we're not going to be absolute with our words, we don't have to be absolute with how the body responds to it. We then are entering and maintaining a flow with what's going on, with sadness, let's say, without it having to become us, without our having to take it on. So I've suggested to a couple clients in the past week or so that they observe what they're saying to me and that they observe the story that they're telling me about what's just happened to them or what someone said to them, and see how they could rather flow with that. They could surf with that idea. I said to one of them, "So you're feeling that someone has done something wrong to you. What would it be like if you looked at that wrong and you decided to surf over it? You decided that there was a wave that you could use to move through it. What would you then say about that, your upset? What would you then say about your anger? What would you then say about how you feel about that?" And they said, "Well, if I can surf over something, or if I can surf around something, or even if I can dive under a big wave with my surfboard, then I am free of some of the penetration of the heaviness of what that might be." I said, "Aha, that's it. You got it." So I've been encouraging, not just my clients, but everyone I know to watch what they're saying, watch what language they're using to describe what's going on for them, and to see if there's a way to surf that wave differently. It's almost like posing a question to yourself. Is there a way that I could do this differently? Is there a way that I could look at this wave, which could be an obstacle, instead as something that I can flow with? I can flow over it. I could even flow through it if I want to. And by understanding that you have the choice to surf it in some way, you're not dragging yourself and your body and your thoughts and your intentions into the heaviness of being knocked flat or held down by that wave. How does that feel to you?
Ooh, I love it. I love it, Anatara, because and funny that you use the metaphor of a wave, because many years ago when I was studying with a lot of the Hawaiian elders, they've always said, "Be conscious of your words, be aware of your words." We have as a society this way of stating, "I am sick, I am tired, I am happy, I am." And the minute you use those words, "I am, so it shall be."
Well, you're locked into it then.
You're locked into it, right? So your analogy of surfing it or diving under it and coming back up without it completely flattening you. Is wonderful. It's wonderful and is very beautifully articulated the way you've done it. And our words are powerful. It's like, when we get angry or when we get upset, or not only towards ourselves, but anyone else. And I've had children say, "Well, that person's not here right now." And I said, "But energetically, you are putting that energy on another person. And
So
is
true.
that the energy you would like upon yourself? Because of what goes around comes around. That cycle of life, that circle of life that continues to happen. What goes around comes back around.
Yep. And when we're not surfing, we maintain those heavy elements of everything.
Oh, yes.
We're locked in. We can't get out of it.
Yes.
It becomes a situation that is managing us instead of us flowing with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing recently a lot of people who are sick. And when they say I'm sick, oh, I have to go to the doctor, or I just got out of the hospital, or whatever it is, they are usually saying, I am not necessarily a victim, but I am a recipient of this. And when we can say there's a way to surf through this, there's a way to surf around it or over it, or be a part of it from a flowing sort of vision. If we have a vision of it as something that's flowing and something that's moving,
Mm-hmm.
then there is a place for us to move through it. And I think that's the main reflection of this for all of us. There is always a way to move through something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not subject to what it is seemingly creating for us. And when we can transpose ourselves from being fixed and stuck within whatever it is to being on a surfboard that can float above or float under it, then we have elements of freedom within whatever is presented to us. It's a new way to look at freedom and not control, but the freedom of an ease of working with almost anything that happens.
Wonderful. Beautiful. It's I'm right with you on that. I think this is, you know, and it is something that is, it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime commitment of being aware. And it's not something that you can do and it happens overnight. Incrementally, it begins to unfold, and incrementally.
Exactly. And I will say the power this time, the power of it is that you can control how the situations in your life affect you.
Absolutely.
Just ask yourself, did I surf that wave well? How would I surf it another time? What would I do the next time that's a bit different?
Wonderful.
And
empowering yourself.
That's it.
Empowering yourself.
That's it. Yay.
Ooh, what a wonderful segment, Anatara. Really lovely. And I think it's, in this case, it truly is. It's just to do. It's not even to think about it. It's just to do it.
And
one word at a time.
That's it. Start with the words. Notice what your dialogue is about things. Notice what you're literally saying about things.
Yes. Yes. Lovely. Thank you so much, Anatara. Wonderful.
It's a pleasure.
And of course, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us in this new platform of education and information. We're grateful for your continuous support, and we look forward to hearing your feedback on how we can serve you better. You can connect with Anatara by following her on Twitter @Anatara, and of course through her own site, anatara.ca. We would love to hear from you. Your questions, your comments, please write them on the screen and click submit, or you can give us a call at 818-LETS-TALK, 818-LETS-TALK. Be sure to leave your contact information so that we can respond. And again, we really invite your comments and questions. So until next time, we wish you all the best. Namaste.
What would be the process that an adult or a young person at this point listening to this show suddenly gets interested in becoming a master intuitive or just becoming intuitive for themselves?
Sure.
What are the first few steps that one should take?
The very first and most important thing is to trust. And I'll show how that develops. So you trust and you believe, even though you don't necessarily have to firmly believe it,